You've got to tune to the afternoon show, KEXP 90.3 FM, Seattle, an affiliate of the University of Washington. Just heard music from Shelby Earle from the Burn the Boats record, a song called Under Evergreen. Ken Stringfellow right before that, going back to his 2001 album, Touched, the song Reveal Love. And Mark Olson starting off the set, No Surprise was the song. That's from Didn't Ever, Hasn't Since. All three of those artists are going to be joining Holly tonight at the Rendezvous for a show. And Holly and crew joining me right now here in the performance space at KEXP. Good afternoon.
Hello, Kevin.
It's great to have you here.
It's so wonderful to be here.
Now, I saw you over the summer at a house party.
Correct.
Before your album came out, your
It's
debut
true.
album, and it was awesome, loved it, so wanted to get you in here.
Yeah, thank you.
And is today like the last day of like your 45 city tour?
Yeah, and it's even more than 45 cities. I haven't, Google only lets you do 8 like plot points on a map because I tried to do the whole route and I couldn't. But it's been way more than 45. And
So what do you mean? You lost track because of Google?
well, no, right? That does happen though. So I've been out since July. And it's just, I've done 26,000 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and all
impressive.
primarily house shows in backyards and living rooms.
And Melissa and Debbie, have you been along the whole time?
No. Just this last leg.
Yeah, a little short stint. It's really great to be here for the grand finale, though.
Yes,
Thanks,
grand
Holly.
finale.
We got really lucky.
So the show's happening tonight at Rendezvous, and you've got Mark Olson, Shelby Earle, Ken Stringfellow, who you've worked with
Yes.
on a bunch of occasions, and we can find out more about that. Your debut came out in September called Maps and Lists. And are you going to play a song from it?
I am. This will be the first song. Should we go for it?
Go for it.
This is called It Is Not Love. Your footsteps on the floor sound different than before. The way you laid your head on my side of the bed. I never thought I'd hear you say that you'd want to be away from the complete people, 'cause you're broken in some way. And you're so loved, but you're asking me to believe in too many things. The world, it wasn't listening. It collapsed and crushed and had its way with me. It was the best idea I had to feel anything but this, of which details do not matter and are too many to list. I don't know how to measure what's happened to my heart, but the size of planets is a good place to start. And you're so loved, but you're asking me to believe in too many things. The world, it wasn't listening. Oh, it collapsed and it crushed and it had its way with me. It is not love I am asking. It is not love I am asking. It is not love I am asking. It is not love I am asking.
It's Holly live on KEXP. It Is Not Love is the song that is from the Maps and Lists record that came out in September. And it's kind of a stripped-down version.
Yeah, there's a lot happening on the recorded version.
You recorded with John Vanderslice.
John Vanderslice at Tiny Telephone, all analog, mostly live takes. It's really neat. It's a cool studio.
Yeah, so interesting story about hooking up with Vanderslice, right?
Yeah. I had been a fan for a long time, and I went out to California, sort of impulsively moved out there. I had been in Minnesota for 14 years, and I thought, I wonder if he'll work with me. So I went to one of his house. He does a lot of living room concerts. So I went up to him afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Holly. I moved here. Do you want to produce my record?" And John was like, "No." So he was polite about it, and I gave him some of my music, and then we got in touch. Like a week later, probably, and he's like, "I
After he'd heard some stuff, yeah,
and it was just, that still feels like a dream." And I'm actually going back into the studio to work with him on another record next month.
Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. How about another song?
Sure.
What do you have next?
So this is a new song called ROTC. And I did a crowdfunding campaign to offset costs for the last record, and I offered these song commissions to people, and I didn't think people would actually buy them.
At a certain level?
Yeah. They were kind of expensive. And they'll be available with the upcoming campaign also. And a number of people, they bought them. And then I was like, oh my, now I have to write these tunes for folks. Like, what if...
Did they give you the parameters of what they might have wanted the song to be about? Or
Yes, like it became a thing where we worked closely on, like, typically people want the song for someone that they care about. And so this is a song for a couple in Detroit, and the gentleman wanted to give it to his partner as a surprise. And so I spent some time with them in Detroit, and I got to really, I hadn't been to Detroit ever. And so I really saw the devastation that's happened over a long time there. And I picked up on that vibe, and she made some remarks about their relationship, like wherever he is, like that's home for her. And then they had taken a trip to Canada recently. And they went to Toronto from Detroit. So I put all of that into the song, and that's what this is.
Cool.
ROTC. It's a shame the way they let this place decline. The very finest details overlooked as time rushed by. Hundreds of thousands left along one line. The worst circumstances tempered and metals oxidized. And you are home, still standing. And know all I need to know. And you are refuge from what's coming. Wherever it is we go. It's 4 hours to Canada from here or there, I swear. They don't lock their doors and the air is so clear. They sing songs about people written from the perspective of cats. Well, my love for you, it's as plain as that. And you are home, still standing. And know all I need to know. And you are refuge from what's coming. Wherever it is we go. I want to go to Canada with you. Someday I'd go to Canada with you any day. I want want to go to Canada with you. Someday I'd go to Canada with you any day.
Holly live on KEXP with ROTC. I heard you play that at the house party over the summer, and
And you
that
got
line
it.
about the weaker thans
got it.
jumped out at me.
Some people get it. They're maybe, I don't know. I say they're my favorite band. I have a few favorite bands, but I do love the Weaker Thans out of Winnipeg.
That's right.
So,
And they write songs from the perspective of cats.
they do.
They
Cats singing to their depressed owners, cats that have run away from their depressed owners. It's just, they're great.
I also think growing up in Minnesota and living in Washington, I've always taken some comfort in knowing that Canada's only 4 hours away should things get crazy.
Right? It's true. And it's I've had just amazing experiences in Canada. Like
Likewise.
yeah, right? People are really, really nice. I mean, people are nice everywhere generally, but
Yes, yay Canada. So Holly live in studio playing at the Rendezvous tonight with Mark Olson, Shelby Earle, and Ken Stringfellow, and that's a new song. You're new to KEXP listeners,
Yes.
many I think. So just want to get a quick little sort of a history thing. So you're from El Paso. You moved to the Twin Cities
Correct.
to go to college at McAllister College, I
Yes.
think, right?
Yes.
And kind of started playing music late-ish, right?
yeah, I was like 23 after college. It was not musical at all until I
You'd never played anything before, really?
No, I didn't sing either. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I just picked it up.
And what inspired you to do that?
I had a boyfriend who played guitar, and he taught me an Ani.
chords?
Yeah, he taught me an Ani DeFranco song, and I started to learn other tunes, and then he moved from guitar to drums, and we found a bass player, and I was writing, and I used to write really long songs, like 8-9 minutes, and they were super morose.
Yeah, you're kind of a writer, though, right?
I guess I write. I do. I mean, I don't write like prose, but
But you're super into writing, and you kind of are on the board of a couple nonprofits
Yes.
that are, and you started
Yes.
one.
I do.
that was
I
about
can write
writing.
grants, and and I can
No, but the nonprofits are really in part about writing. And
telling
one of them's
stories
like
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're on that, want to just talk about them real quick? The
0826 National is, so I started the chapter.
Minneapolis chapter.
Yeah, the Minneapolis chapter. That Dave Eggers. It's his. It's an umbrella organization of 8 tutoring and writing centers. Started in San Francisco, and kids can drop in for help with creative writing and expository skills. And there wasn't one in the Twin Cities, and I thought, how hard can that be to start a nonprofit? And it ended up being really hard, and it's still kind of. It's amazing now. We have kids. We have like probably 40 kids coming in after school every day, and there's usually a kind of whimsical storefront where you can sell like the kids' writing, but then they sell like there's a different theme in each city. And so in San Francisco it was pirate supplies, and in New York it's superhero supplies. We're the Mid-Continent Oceanographic Institute.
Totally makes
so
sense.
we study the city, the ocean from the middle of the country.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's awesome, and way to go.
Yeah, nonprofits are great.
Well, that kind of ties into just sort of the next part of your history, because then you moved down to the Bay Area to work for the San Francisco Symphony.
I did.
And at a certain point, decided to follow your muse and get all fearless and just cut the safety net and just embrace being an artist, right?
It's true. I music, it was this thing that came sort of later in my life, and I knew I really loved it, but it was always on the sidelines because I had this career in nonprofit administration. And so I thought, when am I going to have a chance to really focus? I have this opportunity to work with John. When am I going to get to focus on it full time? And so I thought, well, I can just do it. And so I left the career essentially, and I did a crowdfunding campaign, and I've been playing music full time for about a year. It was at this time last year when I left.
That's pretty
the
amazing.
symphony.
So in a year, you've put out the album,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Worked with Vanderslice, had a great experience there. You've been on the road pretty much nonstop. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you've already written a bunch of new material, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But how about another song?
Sure. So this is a new song called Person Canoes that I wrote. A friend of mine passed away unexpectedly this summer in June, and so this came out of that.
when you know someone's pulled from the clouds, and for them you'd stand up to the roughest of crowds. You don't like the feeling when they leave the room. If you are the tides, then they are the moon. But the message was simple, he had to go now, and you're left to answer the whys and the hows. So you cry in your coffee and you throw it in the sink. You watch the waves break and think, I'll get by somehow. Ooh, ooh, oh, oh, without them you're alone in a two-person canoe, paddling upstream, looking for any clues. You put springs on your feet with just enough fight to send yourself into deep space at the speed of light. And that's where you hear it, go now, go now. And you finally understand the whys and the hows. You're the tear in the teacup, a river's waterfall, the wave that breaks, as they say, we'll get by somehow. Ooh, ooh. When you know something's pulled from the clouds, and for it you do it all against all odds. And if we are the tides, and if we are the moon, then I know to know better, but it was just too soon.
Holly live in studio here at KEXP. Two-person canoe or canoes?
Canoes, plural.
Plural. Two-person canoes. Holly playing at the Rendezvous tonight with Mark Olson, Shelby Earle, and Ken Stringfellow. Now let's go back to where we left off, because I think this is really cool and inspiring. So a year ago you were working, you had a full-time job, and you quit, just decided to be fearless and go for it, you know. And I think a lot of artists, you know, face that crossroads. Right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think oftentimes artists are frustrated because it's not happening like as quickly as you want it to, because you're giving, I mean, you're exhausted when you come home from your job. And then it's like, now I have to create, you know, and that's, I mean, I've written more music in the last, 8-9 months than I had in the previous 8 years. I mean, really, like, it's just when you have the focus on it, you're able to do so much more. And so I really do encourage people to think about, taking those bigger leaps, because you find that people just, I've slept on so many couches, guest rooms and people, someone was letting me stay on their couch for like 4 months, and you will be supported is what, it was an experiment, but it's working. So.
And you also did some pretty amazing crowdfunding to finance the recording of the album, right?
Right.
Via Tilt, and you raised $50,000, more money than anybody had raised in last year on a music campaign.
Right.
For artists are always trying to find a way to support themselves financially too, and need to get really creative about that now.
Yeah.
What kind of tips would you have for somebody to really kind of take it to that sort of level?
Well, I think oftentimes people are under ambitious. There's you'll set a goal for like $2,000, and that really doesn't change like your situation. I mean, it helps. Like I'll take $2,000 any day, but if you can really think about everything that you need, like go for that. And I think obviously in anything like in life, it's really important that that you treat your relationships with people with as much respect as possible. I mean, because that's as much connection as you can make with your audience members, with the people around you, your community. I mean, I think that's really how you can be successful, raising money for sure.
Yeah. And just in an approach to creating your work anyway, go big.
I think go big and why not, right?
Yeah, if you're going to go for it, go for it. The cover is really beautiful, and I just wanted to talk about that for a sec because there's sort of a local connection. Anders Nielsen did the cover, and he's had some of his work published by Fantagraphics here in Seattle. So how did you end up hooking up with him? Same sort of thing? You just liked him and approached him randomly?
I did. I saw his book, The End, was on a coffee table at a friend's home in Chicago, and it's this really heartbreaking story of losing his partner to cancer. And I immediately kind of connected with it, and I wrote a song that's the title track on the album after I put it down. And he lives in Minneapolis, and I was like, well, I should probably tell him that we collaborated because that would be nice. And so I reached out to him, and we had coffee, and then I finally was like, hey, I wrote this song, and I think he was flattered. I think he enjoyed it. And then I said, if I can raise all this money for this campaign, will you do the artwork? Because he's very busy, and he was like, sure, Holly. So I don't think anyone thought I was gonna pull it off, but I did. And he's doing the next record too. So
that is so cool. So you're finishing up the tour tonight at Rendezvous again. Mark Olson, Shelby Earle, Ken Stringfellow playing with you, and then taking a month off maybe, and then starting the new album.
Right. Well, I'm pretty much going to start the new campaign at the beginning of December to pay for this next record. And I have some really great, it's a double LP that we're recording at Tiny Telephone. And I have some of my favorite songwriters coming in to cover the same set of songs that I'll be playing. And so I have Alan Sparhawk from Low is coming in, and John Hermanson from Story Hill, and Ken Stringfellow is coming in, and JV will play some tunes, and there's a few other people on the line. So
very cool.
I know, I'm really excited about it. It feels really unreal.
Yeah,
all of it.
That's so great. So look forward to hearing that. And how about one last song?
Okay, great.
Again, Holly Live here on the afternoon show, KEXP.
Thank you, Kevin. This is the Underdog, and I'm sending this out to my mom who's listening. If you root for the underdog, then I'll root for you. Use a napkin and draw the plans, and I'll bring the glue. I know what it's like to want more, always looking up at what's above. The secret to life, I said that night, it's love, always love. And our paths crossed 8 years ago. Before that, 100+ a day. There wasn't a voice saying so, but we went ahead anyway. And it tends to be the things that we don't see that keep moving us right along, until that moment you realize you're the heartbeat of the song. If you root for the underdog, then I'll root for you. The secret to life, you said that night, it's truth, so I'm telling the truth. Oh, oh, oh.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.